Good morning, everyone. Myself Jyoti, who is a lecturer in Chemical Engineering Department of SJ Government Polytechnic, Bengaluru. So, we were learning about the particulate technology of Unit 1. In the last session, we have learned about the hammer mill and the mechanism of size reduction of the hammer mill. So, in continuation with that, the hammer mill size reduction, today we will be learning about the another equipment is called the ball mill. So we will learn how exactly the ball mill works, the operating mechanism of the ball mill, how the action in the ball mill in connection with the critical speed, and what are the factors which influence the size of the factors during the crushing action in a ball mill. So after learning all this, we will see what are the advantages of the using the ball mill. So the references which I made for this session also been given with link, with a YouTube link. So this is how the ball mill looks like. You can, the right side you can see this is the ball mill. Here the ball mill. Right side is the ball mill. So the crushing action takes place by the impact of the balls onto the feed material. So the crushing action takes place by the impact of the balls onto the feed material. You can see the number of balls here, which occupies about 30 to 50% of the volume of the mill. You can see the balls of the various size, which is usually made up of the cast iron, so that it can withstand the abrasion, or the manganese material, so that it can withstand the abrasion during the crushing size reduction action, we can say. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸೈಜ್ ಬಾಲ್ಸ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಸೈಜ್ ಬಾಲ್ಸ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, and mix of the it is usually the mix of various size of the balls. The mill is being filled with the balls of the various sizes. So it is an horizontal cylinder which rotates on its axis. This is a horizontal cylinder which rotates on an axis, and the reduction of the feed particle takes place by the impact of the balls which drop from the top of the shell. So the balls are usually, as I told, it is usually made up of steel or iron. So the balls is various sizes irutte. It occupies 30 to 50% of the volume of the mill, and the shell will be rotated about 50 to 100 RPM, revolutions per minute, and diameter of the balls is usually the smaller side to a bigger size of 12 mm to 125 mm diameter irutte. ಸೊ ಬಾಲ್ ಮಿಲ್ಲನ್ನು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಫ್ಯಾಷನ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಬ್ಯಾಚ್ ವೈಸು ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ ದ ಬಾಲ್ ಮಿಲ್. ಬ್ಯಾಚ್ ವೈಸ್ ಆಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು, ಒಂದು ಇಷ್ಟು ಕೆ ಜಿ ನಾವು ಫೀಡ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ನ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ, ಒಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಒಂದು 10 minutes ಅಥವಾ 15 minutes ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ by feeding the number of balls, and we will rotate. So after the 10 minutes we will take out the product. So that will be the batch operation. So continuous operation anta andaga, we will continuously feed the material which has to be reduced in size. We will continuously feed the material which has to be reduced in size. ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಫೀಡ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ, ಮತ್ತು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ನ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಔಟ್ಲೆಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ತೊಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಔಟ್ಲೆಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ತೊಗೊತಿದ್ದಾಗ, ಔಟ್ಲೆಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ the skipping of the balls. So avaga you have a mesh so that the balls does not skip out from the mill, from the shell of the milk. So it is normally covered with a coarse screen, we say a ಜರಡಿ ಥರ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ at the outlet ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So coarse screen to prevent the escape of the balls. So that is the batch and the continuous operation anta. Batch andre enu, matte continuous operation andre enu. ಸೊ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ದ ಶೆಲ್ ರೊಟೇಟ್ಸ್, ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಫೀಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಬಾಲ್ಸ್ನ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಬಾಲ್ಸ್ನ ಎಷ್ಟು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀವಿ, 30-50% ಬಾಲ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ರೊಟೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದಾಗ the larger balls will rotate along the wall of the shell, along the wall of the shell and draw from a larger distance, and the smaller balls also will rotate along and they will draw from a smaller distance. So the smaller particles are drawn by the smaller balls, and the larger particles are larger particles are being ground by a larger balls, we can say, from a larger distance, and the smaller particles are ground by a smaller balls from a smaller distance. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಾಲ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಫೀಡ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ದ ಶೆಲ್ನ ಬಾಲ್ ಮಿಲ್ನ ರೊಟೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಲಾರ್ಜರ್ ಬಾಲ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಟ್ ನಿಯರ್ ದ ಫೀಡ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಹತ್ರ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. And the smaller balls ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, because we are using the various size of the balls, whether it is of larger balls and the smaller balls. So the larger balls as the shell rotates or the ball mill rotates, the larger balls will segregate near the feed and the smaller balls will segregate near the discharge end. ನಮ್ಮದು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸಿಂದ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫೀಡ್ ರೇಟ್ನ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ the coarser product we will obtain, and if the speed of the rotation is also increased, the finest of the given capacity increases. The speed ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಟೈಮ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ, ಏನದು in order to crush the material or in order to reduce the product of a larger size into a smaller size. So we will ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಫೀಡ್ ರೇಟ್ನ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ನ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ we will get a very finer particles size. So this is how you can see, this is how the ball mill, actually in the ball mill or the tube mill also will operate in a similar way, but the construction part is different and a slightly different from the ball mill. You can see here, you can observe the balls 50-30% is being occupied at the shell rotate ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ. So milling 50-70% of critical speed. I'll explain what is critical speed. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ particles ಇದೆ. So 100% critical speed ಆದಾಗ all the balls will rotate to the wall of the shell of the ball mill, the wall or the shell of the ball mill, we can say. So critical speed ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಮಿಲ್ಲು ಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು, ಆವಾಗ ಗ್ರೈಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. So the operating speed of the mill should be less than the critical speed always. Operating speed of the mill should be always less than the critical speed of the mill. Before understanding what is the critical speed, so mill na ನಾವು finer particle ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ with a smaller capacity, as we usually operate at a higher speed. Higher speed ಆಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, the balls are being carried right round, balls ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ರೈಟ್ ರೌಂಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ರೈಟ್ ರೌಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಸೈಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮಿಲ್, then we say that it is said to be centrifuged, the mill is said to be centrifuged ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಈ ಥರ ಬಾಲ್ಸು ರೈಟ್ ರೌಂಡ್ ಆಗಿ ತಿರುಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಸೈಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮಿಲ್ ತಿರುಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೀಡಲ್ಲಿ, then we say that the mill is said to be centrifuged. So the minimum speed with centrifuge ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಯಾವ ಸ್ಪೀಡಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಿಫ್ಯೂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವೇನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ದ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮಿಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಿಫ್ಯೂಜಿಂಗ್ ಅಕ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ದ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮಿಲ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೈಟ್ ರೌಂಡಾಗಿ ತಿರುಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಟು ದ ಸೈಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವಾಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ mill, side of the wall of the mill. The speed at which this action takes place, we call it as a centrifuge. The mill is said to be centrifuged. ಆಮೇಲೆ the minimum speed at which the centrifuge takes place is called the critical speed of the mill. ಸೊ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಿಫ್ಯೂಜಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗ್ರೈಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಗ್ರೈಂಡೇ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಥರ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿ ದ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕ್ರಷ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಚೆ ತೊಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಂದಾಗ ವಿ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಕಲಿ operate the mill less than the critical speed. So ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, the operating speed of the mill during the size reduction process of the feed material should always be less than the critical speed of the mill. Always be less than the critical speed of the mill. This critical speed and the centrifuging you have to understand. This will be a definite question in your exam. So what is critical speed? What is centrifuging? I hope you are understanding what is critical speed, what is centrifuging. So what are the factors which influence the size of the product? Before going to the factors influencing the size of the product, so I think you have understood what are the size of the ball, what are the material which is made up of, and what is the volume of the balls that should be there inside the ball mill, that should be of 30 to 50% of the volume. What is the size of the balls? So the size of the balls will vary from 12 millimeter to 125 millimeter vargu vary agutte. So this will be rotated in the horizontal cylinder will be rotated on its axis. So usually the rotation of the speed of the rotation should be less than the of the ball mill should be less than the critical speed. Then only the fine reduction of the solids of the feed material will take place. So then for this action to happen, for the proper size reduction action to happen in a ball mill, some of the factors will influence the product. Some of the factors will influence the product. So what are the factors? That may be the properties of the feed material irbodu, weight of the balls irbodu, speed of the mill irbodu, speed of rotation of the ball mill irbodu, ಅಥವಾ level of the material, ಎಷ್ಟು capacity ಹಾಕಿದೀವಿ, ಎಷ್ಟು level ಗೆ ಹಾಕಿದೀವಿ, level of the material in the ball mill. So all these factors will influence the performance of the ball mill in order to give out the product or the size reduction of the feed material. So with a high feed rate, less size reduction is affected, since in this case the material in the mill for a shorter time anta heltivi. So the properties of the feed material andre ivaga properties of the feed material andre ಒಂದು feed ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ harder ಇರಬಹುದು, fibrous ಇರಬಹುದು, sticky nature ಇರಬಹುದು, all that will come into the hardness of the material that we have learned, the hardness, how the size reduction is being affected by the hardness of the material, which we have learned in the first session of our the particulate technology. So the properties of the feed material andre, with a harder material the smaller size reduction is achieved. Tumba hard idre, so a ball's weight is not enough to crush the material andre, the smaller size reduction, the size reduction may not be so much efficient, the smaller size reduction is achieved. So this will come as the properties of the feed material. The weight of the balls and the heavier charge of the balls, the fine product will be we get. So heavier charge of the balls anta andruno, it should not cross beyond 50% of the volume of the mill. So adru olage irbeku. So avaga we will get a fine product with optimum grinding conditions are obtained. So the ball alli 50% equal to the ball should be equal to the 50% of the volume of the mill. Then only we will get an optimum grinding and the fine product. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬಾಲ್ಸ್ನ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸಮ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್, ವೆರಿ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫೀಡ್ನ ನಾವು ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ, ಫೈನ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ತೆಗಿತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ದಟ್ ಮೇ ನಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್. So this criteria also to be considered in a ball mill in order to get the fine product. And then the speed of the rotation of the ball mill is very important. For the effective grinding, the ball mill alli should be operated at an optimum speed equal to 50 to 75% of the critical speed alli operate ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. So beyond the critical speed, as we have learnt what is critical speed, what is centrifuging, what is operating speed, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ತಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು it should not cross the critical speed. So equal to 75% of the critical speed ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ, so optimum grinding ಬರುತ್ತೆ, that will be considered in the speed of the rotation of the ball mill. Then what are the level of the material in the ball mill? So low level of the material in the mill results in reduction in the power consumption. ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ತುಂಬ ಓವರ್ ಲೋಡೆಡ್ ಓವರ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪವರ್ ಕನ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಎಷ್ಟು ಆಪ್ಟಿಮಮ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಮಿಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಪವರ್ ಕನ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್. ಆ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ರೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕುಷನಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಪವರ್ ಈಸ್ ವೇಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಪವರ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಸೈಜ್ ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. So that is by the production of the undersized particle will result in excessive quantity. So these are the various factors. ಏನೆಲ್ಲ various factors or properties of the feed material, weight of the ball, so then the speed of the rotation of the ball, the level of the material in the ball mill. So these are the various factors which influence the product. What are the advantages of the ball mill? So after learning this operating and the working mechanism and the critical speed, what are the advantages of using the ball mill? So installation, smaller size capacity in the smaller capacity in the larger capacity vargu you can find the ball mill in an industry or in a laboratory level. So the cost of installation, we say that it is less, and the cost of the power required to run the mill is also less. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಬಾಲ್ ಮಿಲ್ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಟು ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ of the feed to the product. It can accept all degrees of hardness. It will accept all degrees of hardness, and it is as we already discussed, it is suitable for both batch and the continuous operation. ನಾವು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಬ್ಯಾಚ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ. So used for grinding the certain explosive material, since it can be used with used within an inert atmosphere. So explosive material grind ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ we can use the ball mill, and it can be operated both in a wet and a dry grinding. Wet and a dry grinding ಅಂತ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಡ್ರೈ ಅಂದರೆ without the addition of the water, dry grinding ಅಂದರೆ wet grinding ಅಂದರೆ with the addition of water. So both ways we can operate the ball mill. So that is one of the advantages of using the ball mill. Explosive material, as we have learned in the nature of the material during the size reduction process anta andaga, so explosive material use ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ it should be atmosphere, inert atmosphere ಇರಬೇಕು. So crowded ಹತ್ರ ಅಥವಾ very in closed ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ we cannot operate. So this ball mill will suitable for the grinding of a certain explosive material, and it can be used for inert atmosphere also. And it can be used for both open and the closed circuit grinding. Open ಮತ್ತು closed circuit grinding ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಪನ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ಓಪನ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯೂಟಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಫೀಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಕ್ರಷರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡಲ್ಲಿ, ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ನ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ಬೇರೆ ಮಿಲ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಫೈನ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ನ ತೊಗೊಳಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಓಪನ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಗ್ರೈಂಡಿಂಗ್. ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಂಟಿಲ್ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಅ ultra fine product, we try to crush the material with the various types of the mill. So that is a closed circuit grinding. Amale we can say that the grinding medium is cheaper. The medium yavudu illi grinding medium, the balls is either made up of iron or the steel irodrinda the grinding medium is the cheaper, and can be used for both wet and dry grinding. So these are the advantages of using the ball mill. Advantages of using the ball mill. I hope you are understanding this. Very simple concept and simple to understand. So the only thing is here we have to understand the critical speed and the centrifuging. So this is how the ball will look like. So the questions in this asked is what is the critical speed, and usually you should remember the operating speed of always in order to have an effective the product or the effective size reduction process, the ball mill should always operate less than the critical the speed. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಸೆಂಟ್ರಿಫ್ಯೂಜಿನ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ನ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ operating speed of the ball mill should always be less than the critical speed of the ball mill. So I hope you have understood by this explanation. So the question in this would be asked is in the exam, what are the advantages of ball mill? ಒಂದು 5 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ 5ರಿಂದ 6 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. 10 marks ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಆಲ್ 9 points or the 10 points you have to write. So usually they'll ask sketch a ball mill, ಆಮೇಲೆ sketch and explain the construction, the working mechanism of the ball mill, and what is what is the action in a ball mill, the action in a ball mill or the tube mill ಅಂತಾನು ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. So these are the various possible questions that could be asked either for 5 marks or 10 marks ಗೆ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. So as a quiz, the multiple choice can also be asked about the critical speed ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ the balls, the material which the balls are made up of, the medium of crushing, the medium of crushing, action in a ball mill, ಅದನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಸೆಂಟ್ರಿಫ್ಯೂಜಿಂಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಈಸಿ ಇದೆ ತಾನೆ. ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ದ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಂದ ದ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿ. I hope you have understood from this session of the working of the ball mill. So the references have been given at the end of this one, so you can go through. Thank you for listening. Thank you all.